What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of, not indie games. Listen, I've put an absurd amount of hours into this title over the course of the last year. Just because the last video I put out was talking about how it was eating up my life did not mean that at any point during the course of this year that it stopped eating up my life. I've put like 300 hours into this game this year, period. I just keep modding it and adding more stuff to it. And so it's that time where it's been long enough that I get to extol the virtues of Mech Warrior once again and talk about the fact that everybody should be playing, checking this game out, and thinking it's loads of fun, especially if you are into modding and the modding scene. This is one of those games that actually has had a couple of DLCs since the last time we covered the game, so the content density has gotten a lot thicker, and then on top of that, it's also gotten a whole lot more mod support, and so a lot of things have happened to this game in 9 or 10 months since the last time we covered it. But today we're going to dive on in and play for about 30 minutes, and I'm going to talk about why Mech Warrior has been one of those commonalities in my life since I was young that I've been playing for a very, very, very long time, and you're welcome to join me as I get nostalgic and I talk about why this game is great and why you can get an enormous amount of bang for your buck with this title. So for those of you that are uninitiated and have never heard of Mech Warrior, what exactly is Mech Warrior? Well, Mech Warrior is a spin-off of the popular BattleTech tabletop game, a first-person in-cockpit shooter where you take giant 5-story tall robots that can weigh in excess of 80 tons, and you smash them into other people's robots until they explode and die, and you do that for profit, and you do that mostly for war crimes, because Mech Warrior is a very grim, dark universe. In fact, with Games Workshop frequently screwing over Warhammer 40k fans with weird things here and there, there's a lot of people into Mech Warrior that are also very much into Warhammer 40k. And so anyways, this is a popular place for refugees due to the fact that this is one of the very few settings that is pretty grimdark and nasty. Even compared to Warhammer 40k, this is a pretty bad universe where, they basically got rid of the Geneva Convention 400 years ago because it made war criming really, really inconvenient. And so they just decided to roll that back real quick so that for the next 400 years or so, they could just do terrible things to one another. Along the way, one of the things I think people find very, very entertaining about this game is that it is a tinkerer's delight. This is one of those games that while playing it, you're going to get to customize and you're going to get to fiddle and play with things and really, really choose a loadout that I think exemplifies you and your personality and the way that you like to fight in the arenas of war. You know, as of right now, I've got about 10, 11 mechs in this current run that I'm playing around with, and I like each and every one of them in their own way, except for the Charger. We don't talk about the Charger, and we also don't talk about the Cicada. Those are the two mechs that we really just kind of ignore, and we put them in the corner, and we pretend like they don't exist. Other than that, though, there's something to love about each and every one of your mechs. If you wanted to think about it positively, each one of your giant death robots is kind of like a Pokemon. It has different methods by which it defeats its foes, in this case, by which it war crimes its foes, but each and every one of them has a special place in my heart and in my retinue, and I use them all for varying things. Wow, there is a lot of stuff on screen right now going wild and crazy. This current boat that you're taking a look at, this is my Daka mech. So this is a mech that has almost entirely machine guns. It has several machine guns that fire bullets that are roughly the size of 8-pound cannonballs. And then it's also got 2 or 3 cannons that fire bullets the size of a car door that explode on impact. And so anyways, this is when I'm feeling particularly orky. This is the boat that I break out to just really convince all of my enemies that I'm an absolute ballistic maniac that has no problem just shedding bullets all over the place. While you're customizing your mechs and going throughout the Galaxy and Sandbox gameplay, you're also going to be able to put together a squad, a team of other mercenaries that you are actually in charge of that will help you on these missions. You can see them right now on my bottom radar. There's actually 3 of them running. Oh my god, nuclear fire. I can see purple spots. Mom was right. I shouldn't look directly at the sun. The radiation tastes especially iron oxide-y today. Love that metallic taste in my mouth. But along the way, you're going to pick up friends, customizable pilots that you're going to bring along with you that will also pilot their own mechs. You can give them commands, and it will further increase your profitability in what is effectively a giant robot fighting, libertarian, super hyper, mega capitalist, neo-feudalist society in space. And speaking of the world and its play zone, This is the galaxy as we know it right now, divided up into factions. This is a universe right here that started writing in like the 80s, and so there's about 40 years of lore packed into this whole thing that spans from probably about the year 3000 all the way out to the Dark Age, which is way on down the line once everything has really fallen apart. And this is what I think is special about the game. There's kind of something relatable about the real world that I think everybody can get into with this title. And so, like, we'll walk through the various factions. Over here in blue, you have House Steiner. So there's definitely a big Dune influence on this game, where there's like noble houses that are effectively the heads of like mega corporations that have, like, I guess, wielded that control of massive amounts of assets into creating their own empires. Over here is House Steiner. They are known for having just a ridiculously absurd amount of money. All right, that's what Steiner is known for. They basically have infinite cash, and if you like Templars, Teutonic Knights in space, that's these guys. Unfortunately, with all that money, they tend to not have a whole lot of sense, so they tend to spend a lot of money, send a lot of stuff over for jobs that may not need 400 tons worth of mechs. They tend to throw the best that they have at everything and just hope that quality will do the job. Over here, we have House Kurita. House Kurita's Space Bushido. If you ever wanted to see a giant 5-story mech dressed up like a samurai with a giant balloon backpack, while you've got like Shinto monks like banging on wooden things to like consecrate them while they're walking through the city streets, that's these guys over here. That's pretty much it. Do you want to fall on your own sword after you dishonor yourself? Do you want your underlings to do the same thing? Welcome to House Kurita. This is House Davian. Over here, they tend to be kind of like the good guys, or at least in a grimdark universe, about as good as they can be. I'll tell you that in their quest chain that I just did last night, they had me rampaging through civilian cities with the highest population density in the enemy sectors and just machine gunning everything that moves. But honestly, in the greater sphere of crimes you can commit in Battletech, that's actually pretty low on the list compared to like nuclear cleansing of planets and whatnot. And so anyways, this is House Davian. They're kind of like the de facto good guys of the universe. They're based on kind of like British-American alliances in space. They value democracy as long as that democracy works out in the way that they've got their thumbs on the scale to have it work out. It's kind of like a plausibly deniable democracy. There you go. Over here, we have House Liao, which is not doing so great. They're kind of like the bad guys in the foils. And so it's, dude, this entire nebulous is a product of the 80s, so the bad guys are like space communists, all right? And so, like, that's House Liao. They haven't been doing so well in the storyline. As it turns out, when you use one faction as the bad guy for every other faction, eventually they have to start giving up losses, and that's kind of where Liao is right now. The good news is they're just Capellans. So House Liao, for all the beatings they get from all the other faction, weirdly enough, totally deserve it. Like in a wide field full of really bad people, House Liao somehow manages to break through the bottom of the barrel and start coring towards the center of the earth when it comes to bad behavior. And so, you know, they kind of have it coming in the storyline too. Over here, this is House Merrick. If you like, you know, winged hussars and, you know, mechs that are dressed up like hussars with glorious cavalry charges while Sabaton plays in the background, obviously you're going to want to go for House Merrick. House Merrick is all about, like, freedom, and everybody just does whatever the hell they want as long as everybody stays in line. That means that with House Merrick, you could have a system right here that's completely tyrannical and fascist, right next door to a system that is just resplendent with human rights and amazing scientific advancements and everything else. And so House Merrick, they suffer from a lack of unity due to the amount of freedom they give all their underlings, and they frequently have kind of like these little splintered off wars that happen inside their territory where, you know, like the fascist galaxy system and like the democratic system don't like being next to each other, and they just start like fighting until Merrick comes in and tells them to play nice. They're kind of a weird faction like that, and all of these factions have like hundreds of years of history and like things that have happened between them. When you're playing the game, these red areas are conflict zones. This is where you can find missions. These little icons you're seeing are mercenary operation zones. This game has incorporated a lightweight version of Shadows of Mordor, where you have rivals. And so other mercenaries, if you're operating inside their territory, you never know quite what's going to happen. Sometimes they join in to help you out, and they're actually working for the faction that you are also working for. other times they land, you know, hot to trot, blazing guns against you, throwing a wrench into your entire mission because they've been hired by the OP4. It just kind of depends. As you defeat these guys, a little meter fills up, or as you interact with them, a little meter fills up. And as that meter fills up, you get various bonuses from a bounty hunter who specializes in hunting mercenaries. And so you're a little bit of a turncoat. You're kind of like getting your own people whacked along the way, but it's okay. Those people are trying to whack you half the time anyways. Over here, we've got, these are industrial systems. So just like Warhammer 40K, Battletech exists in a state of technological decay. They've been at war for like a half a millennia now. This used to all be the territory of a giant space government called the Star League that was kind of like the Federation. They were all about enlightenment, and they were all about like space exploration and science. That fragmented and fell apart. Technology started to decay. 500 years of war between all these factions, undercutting each other's logistics and blowing up each other's factories and things of that nature have meant that like new technology does not really come out anymore in the Battletech universe. In fact, they are actively losing technology as time goes along, and this war just continues to spiral out of control. So anyways, these are industrial sectors. These are areas that are reasonably safe, where the supply chain for the factions still exists, and you can find all the best mechs, all the best salvage, all the best parts, all the best guns are going to be in these little linked sectors right here while you're flying around. Now, it's important to note that my game is heavily modded. Like, I have so many Overhaul mods and things installed right now that if you install the game vanilla and you go to play it, your game is going to look nothing like mine. That's just the way that it goes. And the reason I'm so heavily modded is just due to the fact that, like, vanilla Mech Warrior 5 is fine. But if you're a long-term fan of the game like I am, where you've been playing since you were like 6 years old, I started with Mech Warrior 2, which was installed on like a Pentium 1 computer my dad got for his office computer for his business he was running at the time. He was a general contractor, and so there's downtime. You don't always have jobs to do, and so he had a computer for work, and also he would just sit there and play games on it and whatnot. Had Mech Warrior in there. Ooh, a beachhead contract? Yeah, let's go do that, dude. We're gonna go invade somebody's planet and wipe out their bombardment guns. And so Mech Warrior 5 is a perfectly fine product now with all of the DC if you play it vanilla. However, it ultimately suffers from a lack of customization that I think long-term fans like me desired, and so that led me down the rabbit hole of modding the ever-loving hell out of this game to the point where I've got like flight wings of fighters that I can summon on in. I've got huge amounts of customization that I can play around with. And speaking of customization, if you take a look at this game, like if you just go to the mech that I'm piloting right now, my Banshee, and we go to the loadout and we put this on complex mode, every single one of these slots can mount like weapons as long as you've got the slots for it. There's different cockpits, there's different life support, dude. There's different sensors that you can slot on in. There's different armor types that are heavier or denser or more resistant. There's different engines you can swap out. You can change out your heating solutions, your gyros. There's so many things that you can kind of like play around with in this game and fool with. And I think that's where a lot of people get addicted. On top of that, every single mech, including the hero variants and the unique variants and the rare variants, have their own little sets of perks up here that will sort of like make your mech have little quirks that you either work with or work around, which makes them have more personality and makes them more fun. And let's go ahead and bid on this contract over here. It's a 270 drop. That's not bad. I've got 270 ready to go right now. I can probably move things around, actually, if I go to my mech bay. I think I have a few things that are ready to be built. Yeah, in fact, I do. I've got a couple, like, PPC builds over here. I want to build this Marauder. After, we'll talk about this later, but basically you can build mechs from destroyed parts that you find on the battlefield. This one's pretty toasted right here, and it's going to cost us a lot of money and a lot of time to fix it. I'll probably wait till we get to an industrial sector because we're in a war zone right now. It's hard to source parts. Like, it's the conceptualization of how it all works. It's hard to get parts while we're in a conflict zone. And then we'll take this tip of the spear mission right here. At the beginning of every mission, you get to negotiate for your pay. If you've ever seen Battletech, this will be instantly recognizable to you. So we got to choose how many C-bills we want to get paid. That's money in this universe. What's interesting about C-bills is that they've actually kind of created sort of like a perfect, I guess, economy in space. So there's basically only one central authority that's like Space Comcast, and they have control of the ability to basically send any message in between systems with faster than light, basically instantaneous data transfer and instantaneous video transfer. They're like the only ones that have that capability, and the value of the currency in this universe is directly related to the exchange rate of that data transfer or that video transfer in between different systems. And so they have a currency that effectively, as long as the central authority doesn't fall apart, and there's no sign of them falling apart, they control Terra, the original Earth planet. And so, like, they are hugely important in the universe. The scariest person in the room in this game is none of the noble houses. The scariest person in the world in this game is the cable company. The cable company, aka Comstar, they wield so much power that it's like unfathomable. They're kind of like a tech cult that collects everything lost tech, everything ancient that they possibly can, and they just hoard it and keep it away from everybody else so that they maintain the power balance in the galaxy. And so there are very, very few people that will mess with the cable company in this universe, because the cable company can do fun things, like they can turn off your warp gate, and you have no way to turn that warp gate back on, and you're just isolated from the rest of the galaxy, and then you just starve, and you can't get messages out, and you can't get messages in, and you just get forgotten about by the rest of the universe. Welcome to beefing with Comstar. They can destroy you without a single shot, and they absolutely will. They are petty and capricious and cruel. Before the Brotherhood of Steel got like a fat makeover in the newer games for Fallout, if you've ever played Fallout 1 or 2, you'll remember that the Brotherhood of Steel were a lot like that too, where they sort of like jealously and capriciously and like murderously went after technology. They got a facelift in recent Fallout games that made them kind of into like the good guys. Comcast is kind of like, or the Space Comcast is kind of like the Brotherhood of Steel if they had never gotten that facelift, and also they controlled the entire galaxy, and also if you have something that they want, they'll just come to your house and pistol whip you in the face, or not even, they'll just isolate your house in a data void so that you can never receive another delivery of food or trade or another message from your family in a different system forever in perpetuity, and then galactic maps conveniently just forget about you and nobody even knows you ever existed. That's Comstar and what they're playing around with inside this universe. But they've sort of inadvertently and accidentally created the perfect currency system with their data transfer rates. Right now in this mission, what we're trying to do is there's an orbital invasion happening of this planet. And so we need to knock out all their communication dishes, because the communication dishes are controlling the fire patterns of the artillery guns that you see firing up into space right now. They're not going to stop firing until we knock out all of these communications dishes. And so we're going to make our way on over there and try and get ourselves into some trouble. Oh, they brought in the big guns over here. It doesn't matter, because I'm built like an anti-aircraft cannon. Like, I am literally the opposite of those creatures flying in on us right now. In the game universe, these right here, these Igors, are terrifying. They're basically the future's version of a flying fortress. It's like a flying city built for bombardment to annihilate enemies. Luckily, though, I'm scarier, so that's all that it takes. Wow, there's a lot of tanks over here. I'm gonna need to kick on the thermals. I can't see. There's too much debris and detritus flying around. Keep on firing. There we go. We knocked them both out. It's amazing what you can accomplish with the careful application of thousands of explosive rounds the size of a car door, isn't it? It's really amazing the diplomacy that you can carry out. Let's go. I mean, there's one mech back behind us, but he's just a light mech. He's just a boy. You didn't have to do him like that. There's our final dish. Let's go ahead and wipe it out. We got another one over there. There we go. I think that's all of them. Is there one on the back? Oh, they're firing at me with a little cannon over there. Don't like that. Get on out of here, Chief. There we go. We're going to wipe you out real quick. It appears to think that's still standing right there, so we'll go ahead and wipe it out. Oh, and there's another little baby dish on the back nine over here that I didn't even see. Kick on the thermals real quick, because I can't see a damn... Oh, you got to get like the little mushroom stem, otherwise it doesn't count. Gosh, it's amazing the things that I notice at. Then again, I've just started playing with a mod called VonBiomes recently, which redoes the world maps too. And I don't know if it changes some of the actual set decorations that are used for mission objectives either. So that might be it too. Final dishes are coming up on the horizon. Apparently, this planet only manufactures farts. That's pretty much it. It only manufactures the sewer pipe that real monsters lived inside of. That's their main industrial output. That's how they survive in an increasingly capitalist world. Manufacturing the pipes that real monsters live in. Listen, it's not a glamorous job, but somebody's got to do it, all right? Nickelodeon is a terrifying corporation in the future. A lot of real-life corporations still exist inside of this game. If I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure McDonald's exists, and McDonald's actually has mechs that they use to deploy to, like, defend their interests. Ba-da-da-da-da. Alright, so having taken out all the dishes, now it's time for us to take over their central city. Nobody's looking especially scuffed right now. They're bringing in some more Igors, though, which is unfortunate. That's right, we hit those. We hit those. It's kind of hard not to hit those when you're firing so many rounds. Oh no, am I falling off a cliff right now? I am. Bro, you brought a locust to fight me? You better go back home and get a... You better go back home and get a big boy mech. I just got smacked by artillery. Where's the artillery gun at? Oh, they're all over the place. That's obnoxious. That's going to be a pain. All right, so there's a new objective. We're being artillery bombarded. What that means is I need to go ahead and get the artillery cleared. Otherwise, we're going to have like a really, really, really bad time. Because we're going to be ducking and dodging and dipping and sliding through AoEs for the next X amount of time until I do it. All right, I had to swap up my strategy. Unfortunately, it wasn't working. My mech was too slow to dodge artillery fire. The good news is I have a different mech. You can swap at any time into your co-pilot's mechs and take over manual control. And so in a much faster mech now, I should be able to eliminate some of these problems. You can see the artillery guns right there. Every single time those AoEs you're seeing, they are actually 1-for-1 with the amount of artillery guns that are on the map right now. And so, like, we kind of just want to wipe these out and get them out of the way. That way we can capture the city in peace. I don't know what kind of giant artillery pieces these are, but apparently they've been coating the landscape in nothing but Gustav guns this entire time. Couple more over there. See, oh, I overheated my mech. That's super bad. So your mech has heat. I'm about to get hit by artillery, aren't I? I'm a sitting duck right now. I didn't realize that this Kentaro was doing so bad on heat. I need to recustomize it. Apparently, I've been cheating my co-pilot, or at least my lance mate, out of some DPS here. This thing overheats very, very quickly when it's operating at full capacity, and I just never realized it. How many more artilleries we looking at? Oh, there's one all the way in the corner, bro. Ugh. You can play this game, by the way, in third-person mode. You have a number of utilities to do that. Until you get comfortable with the game, I do recommend playing the game in whatever format makes you feel better about playing it. But me being a purist, I never leave the cockpit, man. There's our final artillery piece, putting up a futile attempt to stop me from rolling up on it, but I'm going to have my revenge here. There is nothing I loathe in this game more than dodging artillery fire. I feel like anybody boots on the ground probably has that feeling about artillery fire as well. Generally unpleasant. Let's get back inside the old, where's my Banshee at? There we go. Put me back inside my Banshee. There we go. Now we're pod racing. All right, so who am I fighting with? Everybody on Earth, apparently. The AI has not used my poor little mech effectively. Oh, these guys are out turning me right now. That's not a good thing. You sure you want to make that mistake, sir? We're about to lose our right shoulder. That's not good, because I'm pretty sure I got ammo in the right shoulder, which means that any shot from here on out that hits us in the right shoulder may indeed cause an ammo explosion. Let's go cap the central node of this fart planet, and then we'll be out of here to go collect our goodies. All right, the final throwdown for the city is nigh. Honestly, I don't think these guys have much of a chance. If they can get in behind me and shoot me in the right shoulder, I'll basically die instantly. But they've got to make it through my entire mech of weaponized, highly paid psychos to do it. And so I don't have a lot of faith that that's what's going to happen. And we've got, what, a trebuchet over here? Good, I need to kill some trebuchets I've got a bounty on trebuchets. Apparently, I don't know, there's some force in the galaxy that's really upset about trebuchets existing. I can identify most of the mechs by eye and also by their call sign now. I've played so much since I was a kid that, like, I only get murky on, like, some of the newer ones. that get added on in every now and again. But mostly I'm good. What's up, Treb? How we doing? We feeling good? We all right out here? We feeling motivated? I mean, I feel motivated to make you die. That's what I feel motivated about. We got like some, oh, a little nuclear fire explosion right there. You love to see it. 85% captured. We're almost out of here. This whole place is kind of beat up now. It's not looking so great. Something tells me, though, the housing values were not that great on this planet to begin with. On the plus side, we have a lot of half-busted Hescos, so that's pretty cool. Incoming battle mechs, a lot of them. Oh, yeah, dude, they're jumping in right on top of us. All right, we'll keep her facing forward. We've still got forward armor. We do not have back armor because the AI, unfortunately, mismanaged my little buddy. Let's go ahead and throw it into thermals. Oh, good, mercenaries are landing, too.
The professionals have arrived. 1,000,000 C-bills to the merc who brings me to Commander's Head.
Not good. Not ideal, in my opinion. You guys should stay with me. Force them to peek that hill right there. Oh boy, we're under fire. All right, we're pretty surrounded right now. I would suggest, yeah, maybe engage in this direction first. We'll just kind of try to put a whole lot of hate and violence on these dudes. It looks like, I don't know if they're independently fighting right now. It's kind of hard to say. Nah, they are fighting us. I thought they were going over to fight the guys with the red skulls for some reason. I thought maybe I misread the situation. It does not appear as though that is the case. Everybody put fire on him, please. Everybody put fire on the Shadowhawk. Oh boy, I'm getting chewed on pretty good right now, aren't I? I'm getting chewed on pretty good. Everybody on the Vindicator, please. I like to speak nicely to my allies. Everybody on the Charger, although honestly, as far as big mechs go, actually that's a pretty good loadout for a Charger, except that it has a melee weapon. But, I mean, that wasn't a terrible Charger loadout. I didn't hate it. Usually I see Charger loadouts and I'm instantly like, I hate that. I hate everything about it. Make it go away. I don't want to look at it anymore. Let's go ahead and open fire. Shadowhawk's putting missiles on me, unfortunately. Armor's getting a little bit weak. All right, good stuff. Go ahead and get the awesome boys. I think that's our final contact. Nope, we got two more contacts. We got a Jaeger mech and we've got an awesome. Get the awesome first. It's actually kind of hard to pick who we should go after first. Both are kind of a liability. Jaeger mechs kind of have the armor capacity of a banana peel, but they hit really, really hard. They're kind of, I'm like a bigger, badder version of a Jaeger mech in my current Banshee build. So I'm built the same way. My armor's pretty thin, but I hit really hard from really far away. And down goes the enemy. I think that's a successful op.
Be advised, we've just completed a re-entry. Lights are green. Dropships can now land. Sierra 1-1 out.
And now we get to see the boys come down in the Union drop pods. Where are they at? Show me those Union boys coming in. There they are. Land them, boys. Land them. And that's how you make money in Mech Warrior 5, man. This is an utterly fantastic game. I know there's going to be people that are like, oh, well, he had a video go big on Mech Warrior early this year. He's just trying to do that again. Not really. I've been playing Mech Warrior now since the late 90s. It has remained one of my true loves in gaming. There's a lot of series out there that have disappointed me and fallen off and become crappy over the years. And Mech Warrior is one of those things that no matter how bad life is or like how bad stuff sucks, I can always kind of go back to it and relax on out, and it's one of those really, really nice alternatives to Warhammer 40K as well for when I'm not in the mood for bayonet charges or whatever. Just a really, really fantastic universe, really fantastic nebula of games. There's a mod for this title that turns it into an RTS, by the way, in case you wanted to play classic Mech Commander. I don't know if that mod is still updated and working, but I saw it on the storefront. There's also BattleTech out there if you wanted to play a turn-based version of this game made by Harebrained Schemes that is quite exquisite with a mod called RogueTech. I cannot vouch for Mech Warrior highly enough. I've put 300 hours into this game this year alone. That means in 365 days, I played this game for at least an hour a day. Almost. Very, very closely. I love it very, very much, and I suspect it'll be one of those things I enjoy until they turn the lights off or until I die. Before I go, I figured people would ask what mods I'm currently running right now, so we'll go ahead and show you all of the mods that I have going on. I've got VonBiomes, that makes the maps nicer and more purty and more interestingly laid out. Pilot Overhaul, must-have mod, adds kind of RimWorld-style perks, development level-ups, and flaws to your pilots as they get wins and losses. Coyote Mission Pack, 100% required. Coyote Mission Pack adds a whole bunch of new types of missions and variables, and also kind of like a roguelike feel, where it randomizes a lot of the missions, where there's kind of like intermediary events that can happen that make the missions more interesting. War Effects, that's kind of a lighting and sound effects mod. Yet Another Mechlab. All of the Yet Another Mechlabs required. You're going to want those if you like to customize stuff. Cockpit glass just makes it look like there's glass in my cockpit when it's raining or snowing or anything else. Snow accumulates on the glass and whatnot. TT Rules AI mod makes the AI a lot better. They play really stupid in vanilla, and that fixes it. Corn's Sound mod. Sounds of the Succession War, I think, is that one right there. That one makes all the sounds sound better and more clanky and more bangy and more boomy. We've also got StarMapMouseOver. That allows me to look at missions without going to the system and see all the specifics, so I don't waste time. We've also got Advanced Career Start, which basically allows you to start your sandbox off with whatever parameters you want. It just makes the game more customizable. You got to have that for mods. We have an Armor Recolorer because the armor coloring is kind of bad in default vanilla. This adds CompassHeadings for north, east, west, and south. We've also got Heat Gauge. That makes my Heat Gauge much more colorful. And then the rest of these that are Yet Anothers, those are add-ons for Yet Another Mechlab that add more mechs to the game, more guns to the game, more things to the game, and just make it way, way, way more replayable. On top of that, the game also has a major narrative now that takes 5 or 6 hours for like every single faction in the game, except for I think like Liao and maybe Merrick. Like, there's definitely a Federated Sons campaign, there's definitely a Karita campaign, there's definitely a Rosselhog campaign, and each of those is quite long, actually. You're going to play them for probably an entire day or two of play sessions until you get done. I did the Federated Sons one last night for the second time, and it held up. It was really, really fun. It took a long time, though. It was longer than I remembered. But anyways... but my name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day, so you don't have to. Today we weren't doing an indie game. Today we were playing Mech Warrior because it's awesome, and that's the only reason that I need. I'll see you all later. Thank you for hanging out, and that's about all I got. Bye, folks.